As you know, the URLs for our auction, and obviously this webcast because you're watching it, and all the other pertinent details, including our fundraising event later tonight in Los Angeles, are on cancergetslost.org. And before we introduce our next guest, we're going to take this opportunity to promote an awesome item currently in our auction. I believe it is at $160, and it needs to be more. I'm not being greedy.
Only 160?
Only 160. 100% of the proceeds from the auction go to the National Brain Tumor Society, which is an organization that is amazing, and we chose it in honor of my friend Jackie, who at 33 recently lost her battle with brain tumors, and she is the inspiration behind all of our efforts, so all the proceeds go to her charity of choice. What we have here is a limited edition, very rare, Once Upon a Time pilot script written by Adam Horowitz and Eddie Kitsis. They not only donated it and signed it, it is a version of a script you will never see. It contains salty adult language. It is a filming script, but the dialogue was not actually put on screen. It is an ABC 8 p.m. Sunday night show after all. But just to give you an idea of why you should maybe bid on this 100% for charity, I'm going to read you a passage that you have not seen on ABC. Scene, Snow White. What do you want? Rumpelstiltskin, the name of your unborn child. Prince Charming, absolutely effing not. Snow White, not effing around. Deal. Now tell us. You will see close-ups of the salty language posted in our auction. Just to give you an idea though, and I know we're trying to be PG-13, although we can't control cussing from our guests. This is an amazing item. It's limited edition. It contains the language of adults. I think you'll enjoy it. It's up for bid on biddingforgood.com/cancergetslost. More importantly, our next guest is Mr. Jeff Jensen. He is the senior writer for Entertainment Weekly, and most Lost nerds know him as one half of the Totally Lost team with Dan Sneerson, who unfortunately could not join us today. Dan. Allegedly busy on a Saturday. Rude. Jeff has a newborn baby, Dan, and he's here. No pressure. Jeff is also the author of the award-winning graphic novel, Green River Killer, a true detective story. He's going to sign it. Let me block you. Sign it on air for us, and we will put it in the auction later tonight. So, Jeff, why don't you tell us a little bit about this book?
This book, this is a book about my father, who is not the Green River Killer.
Excellent.
He's the true detective part of all of this.
Okay.
And if you know anything about the Green River Killer case, this is a serial killer that killed over 48 women in Seattle. Where I grew up in Seattle, Washington, and he was a serial killer. Gary Ridgway was a serial killer that was active in the larger Seattle area in the 80s, and my father was part of a team of detectives that were trying to track this guy down. Ultimately, became basically the only full-time guy on the case. And so this is a story about my father's life and his journey through all of this, and this sort of, in particular, this unique encounter that he had with Gary Ridgway, because they caught him in 2001.
Oh, wow.
And then in 2003, for 188 days, my father and a team of detectives sat down with Gary Ridgway and basically tried to get him to confess and reveal everything that he ever did. And it was this incredible, weird, horrifying experience. So the book tries to capture that.
That's amazing, and it's great that it's in a graphic novel form.
Right. I mean, I love comic books.
Right.
If you've read the Doc Jensen columns, you know that I'm a comic book nerd, and comic books were a big part of my life. And I have fond memories of my father reading comic books to me, and I'm a big believer in the comic book graphic novel medium as a way to tell all kinds of stories.
Yes.
And I originally tried to write this as a magazine article because allegedly I'm a magazine writer, but that didn't work out. I actually did a really bad job at that. And then when I kind of thought of different ways of telling my father's story, because I really wanted to, I moved to the graphic novel format.
That's great. And you recently won an award at Comic-Con.
Yeah, I won the Eisner Award for best reality-based work, and that was Jonathan Case, who drew the book.
Right.
And I shared in that award, and that was just an amazing honor and a big thrill. Yeah.
With your people at Comic-Con.
My people, yes. Yeah.
And you moderated the infamous Firefly reunion panel at Comic-Con.
Was it infamous?
It is infamous. It was massive. Yeah. It was easily the most popular television panel there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, talk about panels that require no moderation. I mean, first of all, I mean, it's Joss Whedon,
Right.
the most talkative cast, and just the
Right.
so it was an honor just to introduce them
Right.
and facilitate some questions and then turn it over to the audience. Because I knew that if we didn't get at least 20 minutes of questions, they would kill me.
Right. I mean, Firefly fans are similar to Lost fans in their rabid dedication, as you know. I mean, look what we're doing here. So it's great. I mean, the Firefly panel was amazing, and you can actually watch it online. There are plenty of links out there, and I think there's even one at EW.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was an amazing experience. I mean, it was like to be on the stage and then to try to introduce them. And I say try because
rock stars.
As soon as the audience understood who I was introducing, this roar would come out from this mass of like 5,000 people. And, you know, it is a cliche to say it feels like you're at a rock concert, but the energy, I mean, it's the only thing that the energy that was coming, not at me, but at them.
Right.
But I felt that energy nonetheless.
Right.
And it was scary, overwhelming.
I bet. I mean, as a person who camped out overnight for the Lost panel, was in the room for those Lost panels in the 6,000 person Hall H.
Yeah.
It was probably a similar feeling.
It felt like a concert.
A concert,
Yeah.
yes. Although I also was on fumes and I didn't smell very well. And I'd been camping.
Neither did anyone
which,
else.
Exactly. I'd been camping, not sure whose idea that was, but yeah. So another thing that we'd like to bring up with Jeff is he is writing a movie right now with one Damon Lindelof called 1952. Who now? Co-creator of Lost. So what can you tell us about 1952?
If any.
Huge scoop here. I'm going to be able to tell you everything about 1952.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to be able to tell you anything about 1952. Other than it's really exciting. It's Brad Bird is directing the film.
Oh, Pixar's Brad Bird?
So we're working with him, and right now we're in the thick of it.
Okay.
You know, in terms of writing and developing things, and I'm not exactly sure what has been officially said about the movie, so I'm terrified to talk about it.
Right.
But because I think bad things happen to me if
I
I say too
understand.
much. But it's been exciting. It's been difficult. It's been challenging. It's been super rewarding. It's been a massive learning experience on how this stuff actually gets made and what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And but it's and Damon is an awesome collaborator. So
I bet. Yeah. I bet.
yeah.
So that's ongoing, and he's doing that, and he's doing The Leftovers for HBO.
That's right.
And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And you guys are all multitasking with that.
Yes, I mean, it's been fun kind of like hearing Damon talk about his enthusiasm for The Leftovers, and I hope that goes.
Yes.
I know nothing really about it other than I think the material is right up his alley if you know anything about
Tom
that
Perrotta
book.
is amazing.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm excited, and I'm sure everyone who's watching this this webcast, what do we call this thing? This webcast.
Yes, this webcast.
And maybe even those who aren't are just really intensely interested in knowing kind of like seeing him work again in television.
Right. And frankly, having a Damon Lindelof show on cable where the language and the sort of uncensored Damon on cable has so much potential, I think, for fans to enjoy so much more.
Because if you admire the way that Adam and Eddie sling around the F word in a Once Upon a Time script, you have to see the way that Damon slings around the F word.
Hopefully we'll have a leftover script if we do this again. Let's get through today, and then we'll see if we do this again. So speaking of that, obviously you met Damon through your coverage of Lost, and Jeff's known as Doc Jensen, and he had probably the most popular column every week after Lost. We would all basically run to look at his analysis and his theories, and Jeff went off into tangents and areas that none of us really, or a lot of us, could not even fathom, but were just fascinated by, and it was a good history lesson, and you could tell that you really not only enjoyed the show, but you were very well read, and you enjoyed writing about it.
Oh, I did.
I did. Yeah.
I miss it. I miss writing about Lost. I miss writing about Lost. I don't miss staying up all night writing about Lost.
Me either.
So thank God that God canceled Lost. No, I'm just kidding.
Jacob.
We'll never cancel.
Jacob, sorry.
Right.
No, I don't miss those hours.
Right.
But I miss that engagement. I miss the community. I miss the conversation about it.
Yes.
Because I think that what I found after writing about it largely just on my own for several years is that when I finally moved into kind of more expressing that Lost fandom through the web show with Dan
Yeah.
on Totally Lost, I enjoyed that more because what I found is I just like dialoguing with people more about
Right.
Lost, hearing what other people think about it than
Right.
me going off on theological, philosophical, and quasi dubious intellectual theories.
And did you get feedback from Damon and Carlton or anyone on the show about certain theories?
You know, in the early days, I did this kind of weird thing where this is why producers and celebrities should never give fans or journalists their emails, because early on in the early days of Lost, I did have this weird fixation where I'd come up with a theory and I would send it their way and say, "What do you think of this? I've solved your show, haven't I?" And I think they kind of patted the theory on the head and sent them back, and they tolerated me because after all, I'm some kind of journalist. They have to deal with it. But as time passed, that ebbed, and as I kind of writing about Lost became kind of fulfilling in its own way without ever wanting to be right or correct.
Right.
It was just this weird intellectual creative journey and a way to be fun and funny and all that. And so did I ever get feedback? Every once in a while, out of the blue, they'll come back and say, that was 50% correct. Ooh. I don't think that they would ever say I was 100% correct, because I was never 100% correct about anything. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
That's why the community was formed, because everyone had an opinion, and a lot of people formed blogs and went to the Fuselage and went to the message boards because they needed to talk about it with somebody. And I'm not sure a show like that, everything's tried since.
Sure.
I'm not sure a show like that will come across our paths in the next 10, 20 years, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
But the kind of dialogue and the community that it built is sort of unprecedented.
Still there today.
Yeah.
That's why
I feel like it changed the television landscape as we know it, that show did.
I think it definitely participated in that kind of what I feel is a real creative revolution of people taking advantage of a lot of risk taking that was being done in cable, and I think that broadcast had to respond to that. And we benefited for some very, very good shows that tried really hard at doing new and different things.
Right.
And I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed punishing them for that. But no, I'm just kidding about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I think Lost participated in that. I don't know. It's still hard for me to figure out how. I love the legacy question. I mean, I'm a writer, and we specialize in kind of what is the legacy of the show, and I think it's still taking shape. But definitely, it participated in this radical transformation about the way we consume and interact with TV.
Well, I mean, the whole negotiating the final season, which sort of set a precedent, and then the way that Damon and Carlton embraced the fans and the social media, and interacted and. That, and then since then, all the showrunners seem to be on Twitter and seem to be more interactive, and they really were fan friendly.
Right. You can see fans in the show too. The writing, it gets into the writing, expose.
Expose. Yeah. So there's that.
Right. I mean, what I think that we won't. It'll be interesting to see if we could see this phenomenon again, though, is that Lost was on the cusp of creating that kind of dynamic. I don't know, they weren't necessarily trying to create that dynamic. I mean, maybe they hoped it would happen. Right. And when they saw that it was happening, they certainly responded to it in some very creative and unique ways.
Absolutely.
Now what we see is that shows from the get-go launching, wanting, even kind of expecting that and trying for that. And I think that their fans and audiences are savvy about that. And so they withhold until they see a show that is meaningful to them. Right. And what we've seen since Lost, unfortunately, is that a lot of shows trying but not necessarily earning the kind of engagement they want.
In 2012 pilot season, would the Lost pilot be successful, picked up, fan favorite? Do you think that if Lost launched today in September, how it would be received, or how much patience would fans have for a show about a plane crash on an island with something in the bushes making sounds? Not to generalize the pilot, which is the best pilot ever made.
I mean, and we're assuming that it was still co-written and directed by J.J. Abrams.
Yes.
Everything.
But it would be coming out after all the wonderful things that J.J. has done since then. I think it would still get made.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it gets made for $14 million. Right. But I mean, which has been reported, the number that's been for the pilot. But I think it gets made.
Yeah.
But it's impossible to say.
It's impossible to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even start really watching it until episode 5.
Right.
I liked it,
Right.
and everyone loved Walkabout in episode 4, and I get why.
Right.
There is something about, and I do not have daddy issues, hi dad, about Jack and his dad and White Rabbit and that virtual rabbit hole that I saw for every single character. And the fact that it felt like the island was the looking glass and that there was something going on where they had a chance to make decisions, choice, fate, coincidence. That hooked me in right away. I went back and rewatched the first 4 and paid attention.
Yeah.
And then my brain turned on.
I remember watching the pilot in like May or June after the
upfronts?
After the upfronts, and so we got all these pilots, and I remember taking it home and watching it with my wife Amy, and I think having some kind of thing like a reaction of like, well, that was really well polished, and it was polished, and it was really well done. There's no way this show's going to survive, and where does the story go? And then like cut to 5 years later, and I'm completely obsessed, you know, But yeah, I mean, Walkabout for me was that episode where it just like, okay.
The game changer.
The game changer. This show can tell any kind of story. All these characters have amazing surprises.
Right.
And they're unique. They start as archetypes.
Yep.
And then they sort of like
The layers.
evolve into sort of like really unique people, and that was really wonderful to watch.
Do you think you'll ever write a book about Lost? You know, you have so many columns and years of material.
Compile everything in
No.
the plate.
No, I don't think I'll ever write a book about Lost. Because for this reason, unless it was a book that somehow, some way expressed what I feel about Lost, which is that I will never have a final thought about Lost.
Right.
I mean, when I think about it, it continues to evolve. My opinion of it refines, but then I've into kind of like, you know, more a sharp kind of feeling of like how I feel about it, but at the same time, all of the interesting, weird possibilities that were contained within the story that I love to think about, the way I used to interpret it, like that's ongoing, you know.
So if you could sum up a quick, I'm gonna do some word association with you.
Okay.
For Lost. And first thing that comes to your head, finale.
First word.
Honest first word.
I'm just emotional.
Emotional, okay. Hatch.
Obsession.
Sawyer.
Not a word, but, and this is awful because I'm now far enough away from Lost where my Lost memories are fading out of my brain, where like I don't remember things. What was the game Lost Sawyer and Kate played in season 1? I never. That's what immediately came to mind when I thought Sawyer.
It's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because Sawyer made, to me, the most amazing transformation in terms of season 1 to season 6. And so it didn't even occur to me.
Yeah. I was thinking about LaFleur the other
Yes.
day. I mean, just like, and I don't know why, but and it seemed like I went on Twitter that day and noticed that people were talking about LaFleur for some reason.
Mo Ryan just did, and TV McGee, Ryan McGee did a podcast last week about LaFleur. They did a rewatch.
Wow. Okay, I'm
and they
gonna have
did
to listen to
live
that.
commentary with it. That is probably why people.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I was thinking about just how much I love that episode, and I think that has some kind of underrated quality in the larger
Absolutely.
lot. But I love that episode.
Later on in the webcast, we have the writer and the editor of that episode. So Mark Goldman and Elizabeth Sarnoff will be here to talk about that. Yes.
Cool.
But the whole selling and the packaging of Juliet and Sawyer was done extremely well.
Wasn't that amazing? I
was.
loved that major twist of how they sold that in just one episode.
One scene.
And by the end, was that the same episode where they take the like what 5-year leap in time?
Yeah, so they start off on the dock and he
2 years
asks her
later.
to stay for 2 weeks.
Yes.
By the end of the episode, there's the flower in the kitchen.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
I love how what they accomplished storytelling-wise in that episode. I mean, one of the biggest leaps in a season where they were skipping around a lot, literally.
Yes.
But with that episode, I just imagine kind of like when they were hatching that episode in the writers' room,
Right.
they must have thought we will either get completely roasted on this or we'll look like geniuses.
Right.
And I loved it.
I did too. I think a lot of people did, but then there are those who ship, who are very Kate and Sawyer, so that was
Right.
disappointing to them. But I think overall, people they understood the direction
Right.
it was going in and how it ended and that they're constants.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so. Well, Jeff, we really appreciate you taking the time. Oh, sorry. Jeff's going to sign this book, and then we're going to put it in the auction. His graphic novel, Green River Killer, which you can get on Amazon and also at brick and mortar bookstores if they still exist, and comic book stores and retailers. It's in the true crime section, and just look for Jeff Jensen's name and you'll be able to find it. And this will go
Right
in.
there. Cancer, get lost.
That's right. Customized.
Thanks.
Thanks for buying this.
That's perfect. We appreciate that. And while Jeff is doing that and wrapping up, just want to let you know that later on we're going to have L. Scott Caldwell as our next guest, and then we have Neil Hopkins, who played Liam Pace, and he will be signing the one-of-a-kind Drive Shaft poster we have, so we'll get to that. But we will be back very, very shortly after a message from someone, whoever, the island. Jacob called in. I was hoping it was Elizabeth Mitchell, but that may be happening later. We'll see. We'll be back shortly. Thanks for your patience.
Are we off? Are we off?
I don't know, are we? We can keep talking if we're not.
No, we're not.
Okay, we're still going. That's fine. Just a reminder that all of our information is on cancergetslost.org. Auction, event later this evening, information about how to make a donation if you're not interested in either of those things. It's totally all there.
Great cause. Are we still on?
I think we're still on. Until now.
And